Hey Purposeful Women! I know it's been a little while, but it's been for good reason. For one, I am finishing my Dear Purposeful Woman Volume 2 from my book collection, and if you are a creative or you share any form of art, then you know that that process of creating, it's such a, what's the word to describe it? I would say, for one, it is draining, and not necessarily in a bad way, but it's taking everything out of me to the point that I don't really have much to give in other creative areas right now. So I'm really honoring this process of just finishing this book and giving myself the time and the space needed to really get everything out. So I'm just really in that zone right now. So I think probably for the next couple of months, while I'm going through the editing phase and just getting everything done, I'm probably going to be doing more videos like this where I'm just having a conversation with you all. So in the comments, definitely let me know what you want to talk about. I also have a few unedited videos that I need to edit because I really want to share those with you guys. So I guess this is going to be another lessons lately to just get myself back into the swing of things. So I was in London for June. Well, I was in London and me and my husband went to Cyprus. I went to Paris with my mum, which was lovely. And I just had a lot of time at home, which I needed. I find that especially when I'm in my creative process, there's something about going back home. It just reminds me of where I started and where I am now, because sometimes we can really underappreciate the journey and underappreciate just how much it took to get to where we are. So I really enjoyed, just for one, being in my childhood bedroom, looking at all my pictures and my journals, reading through things that I've written years ago that are now real. It just gave me so much appreciation for the woman that I am today. And one thing that I've said a few times on my channel is that you cannot bully yourself into transition. There have been so many times throughout my journey that I kind of was really rough with myself. I felt like I should have been further ahead, or I just felt like I was failing in some way. I always felt like I just was behind. But one thing that I have learned is that if you are walking in purpose, if you are being obedient to God, if you are doing what you're called to in that season, how is that failure? It might not look how you thought it would look. You might be deep in your process, but how can that be failure if you're doing what you were created to do? As I'm in the process of finishing volume 2, it's been a very emotional process for me, because volume 2, I don't want to give too much away right now, but it's very much about the healing journey. And I have two distinctive parts to that, which I will definitely share with you closer to it being published. But one thing that this process has been doing, it's been very therapeutic. I'll be writing a little and then I'll be shedding a few tears. I'll be reminiscing or thinking about the journey that got me to this point, or that got me to the revelations that I'm sharing. And it's just been very emotional, and I'm really trying to just stay committed to it and get to the finish line, because volume 2 has probably been in the works for the past 3 years. I published volume 1 in 2021, and volume 1, Courageous Words for You and Me, is very much my 20s. I'm so grateful that I have this piece of history of my life in the things that I experienced and lessons that I've learned, because our 20s is such a delicate time. And there was just so much that I needed to release and get out. And I know, based on the messages that I've received, that there have been so many women who are currently in their 20s who are just finding so much comfort and peace in my experience, and also seeing themselves. And then I also know there are women who are older, who are in their 30s like me, and even older, that are just this is just bringing things full circle and reminded me to really just cherish my journey. So I'm really grateful for that. And I cannot wait to share volume 2 with you all. But back to what I was saying about you really can't bully yourself into transition. We need to know how to treat ourselves well. treating ourselves well doesn't mean that we shouldn't be disciplined. It doesn't mean that we should ignore the areas that we need refinement, need growth. But what it does mean is that you should look at yourself through loving eyes. One thing that I'm being really intentional about is just loving who I am today, and realizing that as much as I have dreams and aspirations for who I'm going to become, it's going to be a process. And in order for me to successfully go through that process, I have to be in tune with who I am today. I have to understand who I am today, my flaws, the things that I'm excelling in, the areas I need a little bit more support. There has to be a true, deep, and genuine understanding of Shandice. And taking that time to just love on myself, to just see myself, is really giving me the courage, it's giving me the peace, the strength that I need to really seek God in a way that I can be like, Lord, show me the areas that you want to refine in me, but also give me the heart, give me the courage, give me the perseverance to be able to day by day do what is necessary to continue walking in the path that you have laid out for me. Things take time, and the more that we try to tussle with the process and rush ourselves, we're only going to be frustrated, discouraged, and just feel like we're failing, when in reality we're just going through a process. So I just wanted to remind those of you who may be sometimes feeling as if I'm just not treating myself with the love that I deserve or the love that I expect from others. It's like, how can you expect the world to love you when you don't even love yourself, right? So that has really been something that I'm just holding on to deeply in this season, knowing that I'm not behind, I'm just on time. Like I always say that, I know that I'm not behind now. And in my 20s, I just spent so much time thinking I was. The next lesson I would say, I don't think I share this. And if I did, you know what, maybe you need to hear it again. But so in April, my dad came to visit and he stayed with me for 3 weeks. I'm from London. And when I tell you, it was just such a healing experience for me. Like, I've always been a daddy's girl. I've always loved my dad. Like, he was always present growing up. Like, even though my parents weren't together, my dad was always in my life. But in my 20s, I just felt like there was such a big disconnect. And there was just a lot of pain in that season. And to see how things have been revived and to see how there has been healing there when I thought that there would be none. At the beginning of volume 1 of my first book, I talk about getting married and my life being in such a beautiful place, but yet me experiencing so much pain. And a lot of that pain had to do with my relationship with my dad at the time. So to be where I am almost 10 years after the season in which I specifically was writing that story, I think it just showed me that God can really make things new. Some of the things that we think are dead and they can't be resurrected, sometimes it's a matter of time. So it's given me a lot of hope in other areas, knowing that all things will be made new in its right time, but also knowing that the things that are no longer a part of our lives or the things that have passed away, that they have done for a reason. But it's just given me so much hope. I'm just okay, well, if God can resurrect this area, then what else can be resurrected? And with that being said, I'm not trying to resurrect dead things, right? But I think about I was almost afraid to pray for certain things or to pray for our relationship to be restored. But it has been. And I'm just so much more hopeful for just what else can be done. It's just been a real blessing and something that I just am not going to take for granted, because I know us women especially have such a nuanced relationship with our fathers. It's a very unique and special one. And there are many of us who don't even know who our fathers are, or who know who our fathers are but haven't had a relationship with our dads, or who have had an amazing relationship with our dads. So though I might not know exactly the relationship you have with your father, I know that whether it's a good one, a bad one, a neutral one, it's affected us in some way, whether positive, negative, somehow that relationship or lack thereof is affecting us. And one thing that I look back in my 20s and I think about a lot of the pain I had, especially the pain of disappointment, I realized that that pain of disappointment really stopped me from being courageous in some areas because I was afraid of being disappointed. And this is a wound that is so important to pay attention to, the fear and the pain of disappointment. When we in our minds have already determined an outcome before taking the first step, we are basically writing ourselves out of what God has already promised. Like, really think about that. Like, God has given you a promise and you are required to take a step, to do your part. But because you fear disappointment, you have already made a decision that you are not going to take that step forward. You are literally writing yourself out of the abundance that was already promised to you. So now I view the pain of disappointment differently, in the sense that, for one, I can never control the outcome, but I can always do my part. Second, I trust wherever God leads me, there will be provision. And even if there is pain, I will heal. Like, I go back to Romans chapter 8, verse 18. That has been a scripture that has really been with me for years. And I know I've shared it like over and over and over again. I'll just put it on the screen to make it easier. But what I'm doing more and more of is just declaring these truths over my life, so that as I'm growing in my faith, as I'm growing in my personal life, in my fitness, in all these different areas, that I'm remembering that even when I experience pain, that I can overcome it, that pain can be a signal, pain can be for my good. It isn't something that I'm going to just dwell in, but it's something that I always have to be willing to acknowledge. The last lessons lately, I would say, is, for one, I am officially a fitness girly, like, and not just by like trend or aesthetic. I am literally, this is my lifestyle now. I think I like shared with you all that in March, I like resurrected my health journey again. But the interesting thing here is, like, I have always worked out in some way, whether it be walking, kind of going to the gym, but just like riding my Peloton here and there, like doing some form of workout. Like, I've always done something. So it got to March and I was like, Shandice, you need to make a decision. Like, you actually need to start enjoying fitness from a perspective of, this is a privilege that you get to move your body, versus, I have to go for a walk, I have to ride my Peloton. Like, why are you torturing yourself? So I went to this local gym near me and they had these like small group sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I had the best time. So I decided to also get some PT sessions, and same thing, like really enjoyed myself. Like, getting that like one-on-one instruction has really helped me to know like what I need to do more or work on my fitness and how I'm eating and everything. So literally since March, your girl has been active at least 3 to 5, well now it's more like 5 to 6 times a week. I'm doing something, like whether it be going to the gym, having a PT session, going for like a 5-mile walk or something along those lines. I am enjoying it and I'm seeing how it's like really positively affecting me. When I was in London for that month, I worked out at least 4 to 6 times a week. And even though I was out of my typical environment, I was still able to sustain a habit. So it got me thinking about, in life, right? When we are sometimes taken out of our natural environment or something that we're used to, we have an opportunity to still walk in the truth that we were carrying in the other environment. What typically happens, for example, like let's say that we go through a rough season or something like completely throws us off course. In that season, we sometimes don't necessarily know how to still show up with courage, or like how to like continue speaking those truths over our lives. Sometimes we just fall to the ground and we just stay there, right? So what I'm learning is that when life changes, I need to be steadfast in who I am. I need to know who I am and I need to act accordingly, which goes back to like when I've shared a few times, walking in the God-given wisdom of who you are, which we still need to talk more about that in detail. But yeah, so that's my little update, my lessons lately. I hope that you enjoyed this time with me. I know I have a few new subscribers, so welcome. I am, I really do want to share more videos like on wellness too, because my channel is very much about, creative and purposeful living, authentic faith and wellness. And I want to make sure that I'm really bringing all parts of me to my channel. So definitely share in the comments what you'd love to see from me. I'm going to continue working on volume 2 because I really want to get this book out, because it's just been inside of me for a while now, and I know that it's the season for it. So I'm just gonna be obedient in this. I know I'm not like necessarily as consistent as I would want to be on YouTube right now, but I'm gonna do my best to just like share videos like this, because it's definitely therapeutic for me, and I also hope that it encourages you. Yeah, so that's it for now, ladies. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.